Hi, my name's Stephen, the creator and storyteller in Anton's Antics, and today we're learning how to draw trees. I've got something in my hand. It's a baby wipe. I haven't explained this before, I don't think, but in between characters, I need to clean my hands, and you'll need it too. These are great for just wiping off that chalk off your hands when you no longer want to use the chalks. So, something to remember. Trees. Let's start with some palm trees. I'm going to use a smaller piece of black chalk, and you can cut the chalk up with a knife if you want to have smaller chunks of it, or you could try using a detailed piece of chalk. But what we're going to do is just start the basics of palm trees. So first of all, just imagine these lines are the fronds of the palm tree, and the ones at the front are going to dangle down more than the ones at the back, like so forth. And then the trunk is going to just be a dotted line with a slight curve in it, with a base, so we need to mark that. And also if the sun's coming from this side, for example, we're going to allow for it to have a little bit of shadow. There's our tree. So again, let's just try that one more time. Start with the fronds at the back, gradually making the ones at the front, curving them so they're coming down a bit further at the front, and then the trunk, put a nice curve in it and a base. As you can see, you can start to thicken that up. And you'll notice also that I drew that one a little bit smaller because we're going away in the distance. So again, if I wanted one, say here, I'm not going to draw it as tall. I'm going to make the fronds a little smaller, still bending them down at the front, and the trunk, it's not going to be as thick, not going to be as tall, shadow's not going to be as great, but we're receding, we're heading off into the distance, and our story may have something to do with a path, and this is just part of us creating the scene of these trees. Now, let's put that into context over here on the next scene. We've got our hills, our background, we've got our sky and our cloud and our foreground, and these trees might just be an embellishment to help people believe where we are in the world and where the story is taking place. So let's draw a palm frond into this scene. Let's draw one right here, a nice big one, using that same technique. Larger ones drooping down more towards the front, and then we can start bringing that down like so. Thicken the trunk, the base, and we can even start to thicken that up too. And then our baseline and our shadow. Of course, you may want a little bit more than that, and that's fine. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's imagine another one further along the path. We're going to just put our little palm fronds in. There we go. And of course, we might have another one there. And our path is going to follow that kind of trajectory towards moving around through the hills. There may even be a path there that we're going to follow. Who knows? Our traveller today may be coming down this path. And that will give us just a bit of perspective and a bit of interest to the story. Now, obviously, there's black and white dots at the moment. We can make them look a little more realistic. Down here in the third frame, and to do that, what I'm going to do, I've put a bit of yellow. I've got a bit of foreground colour here, but I'm going to just put those fronds in, like so, the sort of bare bones of the fronds. Now, and then I'm going to thicken up. I'm going to bring the sort of trunk right down like that, like we had. Shadow. So there's the basic structure. Another frond there. Maybe even another one here. And then I'm going to just kind of add the actual leaves onto the fronds. starting to take shape. Now I can also thicken the trunk, thickening it more towards the base, of course. Criss-cross, and we can add in some colour. Try not to smudge those fronds too much. Now, one way we might try next time would be to add that colour first, because I can see that sort of smudging it more than I'd like. So, let's do it that way. First of all, let's get in the colour for the trunk. And we're going to bring this tree back here somewhere, so it's going to be slightly smaller. So let's get the trunk in. It's always good to get your colours in first and then outline. So here's the trunk. Whack a coconut there if you want to. Let's get where our fronds are going to go. You can imagine their droopiness, their length. Yeah. Once you know what you're trying to draw, it's easier to kind of just get the outline. There's the shadow, there's the baseline. We'll bring this up a little bit too, because we're receding into the distance. Yeah. Coconut. Palm fronds. And from a distance, that's going to look pretty cool. And it doesn't look too bad up close either. So there's our palm tree taking shape. And perhaps a different type of tree now. Let's start with a more normal kind of looking tree. Maybe a tree in the Garden of Eden with fruit on it. Just some background scene here. Let's put, first of all, a nice solid trunk in here. Is it what tree is it? Just an ordinary tree? Tree of life, perhaps? Or the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So colours down first, nice big canopy, trunk. Yellow first. To make green, we add blue. I'm going to add a light blue actually. Still the background scene is visible, but it's not important. What's important in the foreground, and what we've got in the foreground is this lovely tree. Now we can bring some of these branches, it's like so, that might be of interest as well. And then we can start outlining those branches. Remember, if you make a mistake or you don't quite get the outline in the right spot, just keep going. No one's going to care. You tell the story, they believe you. It's not meant to be perfect. And then we have a tree. What was on the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil? Were they beautiful oranges or mangoes, or what was it? You notice I'm doing that very roughly. And there we have a different kind of tree. You can try all different shapes. Just practice getting the kind of shapes that you want to be able to tell the scene and the story that you're doing. See you next time. That's trees.